there was like a river somewhere in there.
So that's a conversation starter right there. Never been to
Hello.
cemetery is really
Cemetery is awesome.
Hi, Becky.
It's 6 miles. Because I thought we'll do like a mile in the cemetery and then road.
The Wi-Fi changed, so you might have to change the password.
I think it changed last.
Call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
Start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Looking forward to next week's short week. Well deserved. We'll start off with the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Any discussion, any questions about them, changes? All right, with no questions, I need a motion.
I'll do it. I move the Board of Education approve the minutes from the October 22nd, 2025 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving on to the October financial reports.
Thank you. The current cash and investment balance as of October 31st, 2025 is $36,180,558.83. Our revenue for October was $3,318,944.34. This includes property tax revenue, evidence-based funding, Title I, Title II, Title III, federal funds, IDEA federal funds, and transportation reimbursement from the state. Having gone through 33% of the fiscal year to this point, we have received 38.21% of our expected revenues for the 25-26 school year. Our expenditures for October were $3,990,021.96. This includes employee salary and benefits, retirement system payments, the first payment for the kitchen work that will happen next summer, and tuition for outplaced students. Being at 33% of the fiscal year so far, we have expanded 32.58% of the budget expenditures. Tonight, I am asking the board to approve the revised bill for October for payments in the amount of $1,983,110.01 for payroll liabilities, and to approve November's bills for payment in the amount of $1,367,083.47. For the activity fund, the beginning balance in the activity fund for the month of October was $97,152.63, with revenues totaling $10,865.68, and the expenditures totaling $8,900.98. The ending balance in the activity fund for October is $99,117.33.
Any questions?
The second tax is pretty much collected, the second none.
We are about 90% collected for the 2024 tax levy already, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion, please.
I will. I move that the Board of Education approve the financial reports for October in addition to the regular November bills for payment
Second.
as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 All right. Public participation. Okay, with none, I'll turn it over to the report of the superintendent.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with district highlights, and I'm going to ask the principals to go ahead and get started. Yeah. Who's, oh,
Me,
this is your class, yeah, all right.
Hi, good evening. Just some highlights from Viking. So on the top left, that is the 6th grade field trip. As part of their incentives, we're having a great first trimester to Richardson Country Farm and Coordinate. Just underneath that, there's a couple of students participating in a 7th grade science class. They were using scientific vocabulary, specifically control, independent, and dependent variables, and testing their reaction time to address the problem of distracted driving. On the right-hand side, students are engaging in a vocabulary activity that is part of the Shelter Destruction Conservation Protocol, SIOP. in which they sort words based on broad categories that align with the novel that they're reading. Almost heard. On the left-hand side, Officer Thomas and National Junior Honor Society students participated in a Feed My Starving Children field trip, and they boxed 19,440 boxes of food that will feed 53 students for 1 year. Grace B is in the center. She is a Viking student that was invited to participate in the IMEA, Illinois Music Education Association District 7 concert band. And in order to earn that honor and participate in that event, she needed to compete against students from 74 other schools in multiple counties to participate in that event in early November. On the right-hand side, those are students in a sixth grade language arts class, and they were engaged in a letter reading activity. They wrote to a candy company to share their perspectives and ask questions, and that was the moment in which they received the letters back from the candy company. So they were sharing them with the classroom, but also with one another to hear what the company had to say about their questions and their requests. And the company was able to send back some souvenirs for them, but no candy, sadly. On the left-hand side, images from our Veterans Day event. The choir and the band performed. Students created community flags in which they worked together in their homeroom classes to create a flag to show to the veterans to honor, and then the veterans had a walkout where they were clapped out of the building, so students lined the hallways to escort them out, and that's it's a River Trail parent and our current Viking coach, DJ. Basketball coach for boys 8th grade basketball. On the right-hand side, just a moment from a basketball game. Students of the month from September and October after a celebratory breakfast, and then Dia de los Muertos altar in the multilingual classroom where students spend part of their homeroom. So a variety of different things happening at Viking.
And at River Trail, we ended the first trimester with our Student Recognition Assembly. We recognize students for being respectful, responsible, productive, and safe. And so students across the school are recognized and brought up and cheered for at the assembly. We also have homeroom competitions, and each grade level group, they get a trophy, and that trophy's right there in the middle at the bottom. Our theme this year is reading, so we wanted our trophy to be books with a little gnome who's reading. So each class, a K1 class, a 2-3 class, a 4-5 class, and a middle school class, they get to claim the trophy for that trimester, and those are 2 classes in the middle that won their trophies. We also want to recognize our 8th graders. They are crushing it. Our 8th graders, I could not be prouder of a group of students than I am with this group, which I'm telling you a few years ago I might not have said. So they've really risen to the occasion. Similar to Grace from Viking, Servan, who's there in the upper left-hand corner, also was in the District 7 Jazz Band. He competed against 74 other students to earn that spot. And it was McHenry Lake and Northern Cook County that they competed against, so the fact that we had 2 students that were represented is pretty amazing. Our 8th grade team lead students did a schoolyard cleanup service project. The day after the snow day, they went out and cleaned up all the trash that accumulates throughout the fall. And this year, our 8th graders went on a field trip to through the regional office of Lake County to the Lake County Fairgrounds and got to explore lots of different career opportunities. And they went to lots of booths and different things throughout Lake County. And then they took that information and did a research project about a career. So they had to research how much money they would make, the kinds of education they would need, what skills would be required. They had to create a budget for themselves. They were looking at rent. They were on Zillow. It was really amazing. And then we brought in the younger students so that the 8th graders had to present to them what their job would be and why they chose it. So just really super proud of our 8th graders. Oh, and then right there in the middle, you see some 8th grade boys reading to some kindergartners. This week, our middle school students are going into all of our K-5 classes, and they're doing character ed lessons. They're reading books that are tied to our school improvement plan, talking about growth mindset, about problem solving, conflict resolution, all the different areas that we've identified. And they're reading books to the kids, but then they're doing activities. Like I went into a second grade class and they had hearts on their backs, and the kids were all writing what they love about that person. And so it was just, and the 8th graders are the ones who are doing this. And actually it's all of middle school that's going into our K-5 classes doing that. And then some more celebrations that we have. We recognize students who have perfect attendance. That means they've missed 0 days of school so far for the first trimester. We had over 100 students with perfect attendance for the first trimester. And then we had over 70 students with outstanding attendance, which means they missed a day or less. They could have missed a half day to receive outstanding attendance. So we currently have just under 200 students who've missed a day or less of school so far this school year. And then right there in the middle, we have our top Beanstack readers for the first trimester. Our goal as a school was to read 100,000 minutes for the first trimester. We read 130,000 minutes. And these are our top readers in several different grade levels. So it was a lot to celebrate.
It's a good looking picture.
I recognize some kids in these pictures.
All right, at Prairie Trail, we had our first round of Donuts with Grown-Ups where we celebrate our Students of the Month, and we tied our Students of the Month this year with our competency that is our focus, which is the Determined Learners. So these are all our Determined Learners, and we graciously have parents and families that are able to squeeze in, so we're able to get one big picture in. And it's super cute, and the students get to pick their donuts, and the siblings come, so we get to meet some of our Spalding friends that'll be coming our way. So we enjoy getting that opportunity. In Miss Lynch's class, she is focused this year on themes, and her first theme is survival. So she has been reading and having students watch various things that align to survival, and we know the I Survive books are some fan favorites for our students. So her room turned into a campground, and she had families that brought in tents and her fake fires, and each of those groups, they have been given a budget, and they had to figure out, they had a list of items with their prices as a group, what they were going to purchase in order to survive while in their campgrounds. And Dr. Brea came to visit, they made s'mores, so it was a very cute activity that is also authentic in nature. No pun intended. And then our Veterans Day assemblies, we raised over $1,200 for Penny Wars, so the students are very proud that they're able to send yet another veteran for Honor Flight Chicago. We had several families that joined our winning classes, were able to have veterans come in and read to them, as well as have Q&A sessions. We are, one of the cutest moments, so Tori Novak, one of our 4th grade teachers, her grandpa came in and he stopped in every pod to thank the kids for welcoming him in, because when he came back from Vietnam, that wasn't a thing. So he got teary-eyed, and so seeing the kids' response is super cute to see all of their dedication. And on the right, our assembly, we're super proud of our civics club that Ms. Lynch also runs, and they are the facilitators of our assembly for that. So our 5th graders are getting their leadership opportunities, and our seniors club is getting ready to become our Viking choir, and they're all participating and doing their amazing things.
And here is Spalding's Veterans Day celebration, some pictures from that event. We also were very proud to be able to raise enough money to send a veteran on their honor flight. And we had Gretchen Rohr from Honor Flight Chicago with us, who is also a former member of the District 56 family. And she was pretty floored that we were able to raise that much money, and it felt great to be able to do that. On the left-hand side up at the top, you see a couple children waiting for the parade to begin. At the bottom, that's maybe about a third of the veterans who were with us, representing all 4 branches of the armed forces. They paraded around our building. Our children sat on the floor and cheered them on, and then we all ended in the gym for an assembly. Up in the upper right-hand corner, our 2nd graders are singing a couple songs, a sample from their 2nd grade concert, which took place a couple days later with a patriotic theme. So all of the songs that they sang honored branches of the armed forces. Here are some pictures from the first grade field trip to the Chicago Botanic Garden on November 7th. We were very pleased to be offered a scholarship opportunity, so all of our students were able to attend free of charge, and many parents were able to go along as well. It was a beautiful day for them. And finally, some pictures from kindergarten. This is Mrs. Oakley's class for Native American Heritage Month. They studied canoes. They read about canoes, learned about canoes. They decorated, designed a canoe, cut it apart, and then stitched the sides of their canoes together. And it looks like they really enjoyed that process a lot. Thank you.
All right.
All right, these are pictures from our cardiac emergency response team training. So as you can see, actually Sean is up in the upper left corner. He is getting ready to perform CPR while his partner does it, and bringing the AED. As we look at many of them, you can see the mannequins on the ground as we all performed CPR. There were a variety of requirements that were required of all of us. So we did CPR, we did AED, we did stop the bleed, where we had to actually, you can see Laura Liphart, one of our nurses over at Viking. We're putting tourniquets on her arms, so we're kind of cutting the circulation off a little bit to practice that. And then there's stop the bleed. There were some pretend limbs that were all bloody that we were shoving different pieces of gauze in to make sure that everything was really well packed so the bleeding stopped. And so that is just the pictures of our last part of the training that took place over at Viking.
That's it. All right. Any questions, comments? No? All right, moving on to department updates. We're going to go ahead and get started with Mr. Da Costa.
Thank you. So in the business department, we hosted our first fall wellness event, which was well attended by staff. Staff were able to get their yearly flu shot and do blood work on close to 100 markers that are completely free to them because we partner with our insurance through NIHIP.
And I realized I didn't explain this ahead of time. I'm going to do my department update now, and at the end, we'll do an update on the annual event. So, right now, in the past month, big focus has been Veterans Day, and you heard some of the great updates across the district. We had more than 40 veterans. We had 42 total visit the district this year and raised $4,351.65, which is enough to send almost 4 veterans on their honor flight through Honor Flight Chicago and Lake County Honor Flight. So that was a big deal, obviously. And then in our curriculum area, we are continuing to review for English language arts, and we're close, I think, to deciding on a resource for middle school. They asked to extend the pilot into January, so we're doing that. And then we are being trained in pilot materials in December for grades 3 through 5.
All right, in student services, we finally finished training every single member of our cardiac emergency response team at all 4 buildings. And then right now we're preparing for the special education cyclical monitoring audit by the state. So we're starting to get some of those pieces started. And then finally we met with the 2 stakeholder teams, the community, the parents, and the staff to get everyone up to speed where we are with our emergency response and cardiac response plans.
In the multilingual department, we had our monthly department meeting where we are working on progress reports for our multilingual students and preparing for access testing that's around the corner. We also had this past month our bilingual parent advisory committee meeting. I also met with Viking teachers to support them in co-teaching. The report card committee met as well. And we started to work with building administrators on access schedules. And I also attended a PLC conference.
In technology. So we had a phishing campaign last month, and I'd want to report that only 10 users clicked on my spam email. That puts the district at 3.48% phish prone, so not our best, but our second best percentage. We've also been working on E-Day or e-learning day stuff. So getting the bags and cables and chargers ready, and then starting testing Google Meets with the kiddos. So busy.
All right. Any questions? Comments? No? All right. So as you know, in the month of October, a few of us went to a Battelle for Kids conference, and directly aligned to the Portrait of a Graduate work. So we got together with a team that attended that conference a week ago and debriefed on what our next steps would be. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Helfers, and he's going to talk about what we learned and key takeaways and next steps on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And first I want to start by thanking Sarah Rochager, Spalding principal, and Caitlin Kincaid, Spalding second grade teacher, for agreeing to come up and share a little bit about this event with me. As I will explain, we've been taking more and more people to this event every year, and I feel like, a big reason for that is to help the message of the work that we're doing get across. And as you'll see from what they'll contribute, it is sinking deeper and deeper into our organization. I'm just really grateful for both of them for being willing to share with us. So I love when we get to do something that hits so many of our strategic values. When we are going there, we're learning a great deal about leadership, about the stewardship of this district, and how we manage and lead and do all the things from day to day that are in the best interest of our kids. And of course, also the modern and effective learning design component, which is really at the heart of all of our work on, the Portrait of a Graduate and what's going to be our learning framework, which they will talk about in just a little bit. So, and also I love, anything that we get to do that literally highlights every single component or every single durable skill of our Portrait of a Graduate. So the whole time while we're there, we're hearing more and more from other districts and other leaders around the nation who are doing work in all of these areas as well. So we get to hear from them about, where they've been, where they're going, and, things that we can learn from them along the way. So just a little bit of background. We've been going to the Battelle event since 2019, and at that time it was just Colleen and me, and we were learning what is this, what does a Portrait of a Graduate even mean? And so this is our 5th year sending people to the event, and in that time we've been sending larger and larger groups. And again, part of that is to make, or to help the message of what they do sink, or what we're trying to do, sink deeper and deeper into the organization. So here's a picture of the team that we brought this year. We brought 6 administrators, both from the district office and from all of the buildings. We brought 3 instructional coaches and 4 teachers with us. They are standing, I'm actually going to go back for just one second. We are standing in front of a banner that was made on behalf of our district so that we could showcase some of the work that we've been doing. So now we're far enough along in our work with our portrait work where other districts are now coming to us to learn a little bit about where we've been and where we're going. And that was kind of a cool honor to have some districts come up to us and say, well, tell us a little bit about this, or tell us a little bit about that. Actually, one of the conversations Luis and I had some of the most in-depth conversations with, they were a district from Brazil, and they wanted to learn, some of the things that we were doing. So we're just going to highlight a couple of key components on the banner. So this is just the top of the banner introducing what our portrait looks like and where we're from. And then Sarah is going to share a little bit about Caitlin is going to share a little bit about the teacher point of view with teacher rounds.
Okay. So we've been working on finding ways to bring the portrait to life. So some of the ways that the district has been doing that is through the learning framework, which Sarah's going to talk about in a little bit. The Portrait to Pathway fairs that many of the schools in our district have already put into practice, and teacher rounds. So I was a part of the start of teacher rounds this week, so I'd love to talk to you more about that. So as part of teacher rounds, teachers gathered together, and we had teachers from Spalding and Prairie Trail, and we were really thinking about what are the teachers or the problems that teachers are facing that we'd like to tackle. What challenges are we trying to get after? So we brainstormed a lot of different things, we categorized them, and then we created a problem of practice. So the problem of practice that we decided on was a mix of getting our students to have ownership and take responsibility, but also engaging them in their learning. So the question that we came up with for our problem of practice is, how can we empower students to take ownership of their learning using engagement strategies? So that was the Spalding problem of practice, but the one for Prairie Trail was very similar. And so when I was thinking of that question and writing on this note card, I was looking at our portrait of a graduate, and I was looking at each of the areas, trying to think about which one directly does it connect with. And I realized it's all of them. When you get students to take responsibility and ownership and have that drive to learn and be engaged in their learning and be motivated and inspired, that's all of those things. So that was exciting. Some ideas from attending this conference that have inspired me as a teacher. We got to hear from a lot of superintendents, a lot of principals, a lot of teachers, instructional coaches. And one thing that really struck me was someone talked about helping their students gain an understanding of themselves through their areas of strength, and not weaknesses, but their areas of growth. So thinking about you as a person in order to be successful, not just like academic success, but being successful in life, whether that's, going to college or having a career or going into the trades, what life skills do you need? And how can we help our students in those areas? And getting them to realize that you can take those strengths that you have and then follow a career path that builds on those strengths. Or if something's your area of weakness, you don't have to go down that path, or use that as something to challenge you. So that was really inspiring. And then some next steps I'd like to take from that are just to help my students find that within themselves, whether that's through a portfolio where they're just thinking about, I'm really doing well with this and I really want to work on that. And really just thinking that all of these things are for the career and life skills that we want our kids to be successful.
Thanks so much, Caitlin. That was great. One of the next components of our work is really built out of what we've been calling MegaSIP. And MegaSIP is all of the school improvement teams from each of the buildings all gathered together in one place to hear a common message about where we're headed and to develop common strategies in how to get there. And so Sarah is going to share some of her perspective on some of the work that we're doing in building a learning framework together.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Caitlin, for zooming in on teacher rounds as one of our practices. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to another thing that we're undertaking as part of our partnership with Battelle for Kids, and that is the development of a learning framework. This framework will be based in our own local definition of deeper learning, an important concept to Battelle for Kids work. And it will outline what staff and students in District 56 will do and experience in order to achieve that deeper learning. Creating a learning framework for us is going to be a year-long process, and it's going to bring together a team of administrators. You see here there are 14 of us. So we've met 6 administrators, 4 instructional coaches, and 4 teachers. We're going to meet over 4 separate days. We've had one of those meetings already. Many of the people involved also attended the Battelle for Kids annual event, so that's allowed us to connect our work on the framework to what we learned at that event. The learning framework will align our instruction to the portrait competencies. Those are the competencies that were identified by this community to give students durable skills for success in high school and beyond. The vision for our portrait and for our learning framework are ours, District 56's. Through the annual event and our partnership with Battelle for Kids, we are getting the tools that we need to bring that vision to life. One of the first steps in creating a learning framework is to articulate our theory of action. Are you? And here is the theory that we have devised. We believe that if we design a learning framework that defines the necessary shifts in educator practice and build the capacity of teachers through intentional professional learning cycles, then teachers will design and implement deeper learning experiences for all students, which will result in students having the opportunity to engage in deeper learning experiences and students demonstrating the durable skills in the portrait of a graduate.
Yeah, I just want to thank you both again for being willing to come up and share that. You know, it's a big deal to take such a large group of people to a conference, and it wasn't all fun and games. I promise I'm awake behind those glasses too. Luis is not just holding me up there. So it wasn't all, just fun. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of learning. And as you can hear from both Caitlin and Sarah, it is sinking in and it's helping us to develop the next steps of where we want to go. I don't know if you have any questions for any of us, or... Okay.
Thank you for the presentation and inclusivity with additional people each year. I think that's great. The more that have that experience that you guys had, the better it's going to be for the district.
We agree. Thank you.
We appreciate the opportunity, and like you said, the more of us who are there, the richer our conversations can be when we get back. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? Any other? No? All righty. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Kincaid. Thank you. Yes, you can head out. Yeah. She's like, can I leave? I'm like, yeah, you can head out. And thank you, Mrs. Rochiger. All right. Moving on to the delegate assembly. So this weekend on Saturday, Mark Pose is going to be our representative at the delegate assembly. And really, there's only one resolution, and then the rest of the do adopt recommended by the board of directors has to do with procedural and constitutional amendments. So, Odie, I don't know if there are anything in there that I didn't see anything that would require any major discussion from the board, because it's all procedural. They're basically going backwards and revising what's actually happening in districts. So there's nothing that really stood out to me as far as any discussion items. So the recommendation is to do adopt when we're there. So if anybody has anything else to share, this would be the time.
Odie, do you see any controversy on any of these potentially?
Like the amendments?
No, not really. There was, at our dinner, there was a couple of people who asked me to clarify, something, but everybody seems to understand the reason behind it. And
right. Yeah. Like I said, it's all procedural. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically like constitutional, terms, things like that, that it's already happening. They just needed to go back and make those revisions to the Constitution. Then the only resolution that's really out there has to do with school bus safety funding, and I do recommend that the board do adopt that, or we support that that resolution, because really it goes after supporting funding for a small district like ours, based on Senate Bill 191, which is effective in 2025. And that bill basically requires school districts to purchase new buses, the purchase of new buses with seat belts for kids. And that is an additional $7,000 to $18,000 cost per bus. So that is a significant cost to districts. So basically the resolution that ISB is recommending is for us to really have a waiver for small districts to say, hey, there are other ways to keep students safe, right? Have a longer timeline until 2031 to really take effect or look at what other funding options we have. And then allow districts to use some of the transportation bond funds to fund those purchases if we come to that point, because right now we would take it out of other funding, and it's just not feasible for us to spend an additional, we have 35 buses, so an additional potentially between $200,000 and $350,000 extra. So once we get to that point, this will allow us to have a waiver for that, or really utilize other sources of funding to keep students safe when we come to that point. So the recommendation is to do adopt that, because it really benefits our district in that sense. Okay. Any questions, any comments? That's the only resolution that's out there. Right. Everything else was constitutional, so there's nothing else. All right. So we're good?
We're good.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you.
The best.
All right, professional leave conferences. We have a few people going to conventions. We have Miss Ames, Mrs. Rosugar going to, is that an Admin Academy, I think?
Yes.
Right, IdeaCon for one of our instructional coaches. And then, yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So, any questions about the professional leaves? No? Okay. All right, and then we had one Freedom of Information Act request this month, really a report reflecting transactions from July 2022 to present on purchase date, vendor name, line item quantity, line item price amount, all that. That request was made on October 20th, and Ms. Orozco responded on October 24th, so all the information was given. Any questions about that? No? All righty, moving on to old business, Mr. Da Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Correa. So every year, one of the biggest functions of my job is to levy taxes on behalf of the district. We know a vast majority of our income, of our revenues, comes from local property taxes. And with the uncertainty around state and federal funding, that local revenue becomes ever more important. Being in Lake County, we are capped on the amount of revenue we can get from taxes. We levy only for new property. And so the levy process is 3-step. So the first one is what we did last month, which was we presented the figures. Today, we approve the levy, and then before the, it's the last Tuesday in December, we have to present it to the Lake County Clerk office for them to file it. So attached, you see what we are proposing to present, hopefully as early as, if it gets approved today, as early as tomorrow. But a couple of things to keep in mind as you look to approve the tax levy tonight. So in tax cap counties, we are capped by CPI. So for 2024, and for this tax levy, we cannot go above 2.9 for existing dwellings. So if anybody has property that is currently standing, the most that the county is going to tax is an increase of 2.9. Our estimated EAV, equalized assessed value, within our boundaries is $789,226,255, which is an increase of 8.8% from last year's levy. So overall, the existing dwellings within our community have risen in value according to the assessor's office. The Lake County Assessment Office is predicting $3.7 million in new construction, which is where we're hoping to levy an increase of 4.99%, which is the highest that we can go within the boundaries of the law that kind of does not prevent but discourage us from going above 5%. So the estimated percentage increase from 2025 from 2024 based on the growth of our equalized assessed value within our boundaries, what the Lake County Assessment Office is predicting in new construction is approximately 4.97 from last year's budget. So we are under the truth in taxation law. So that is why we're not having a hearing, but we do believe that this is the best approach to ensure that if the Lake County Assessment's Office is right about what the new construction is, that we capture as much as possible. And even if they fall short, because we know that the economy is slowing down, that we still capture as much as possible, so that not only in the 2025 tax levy, but then moving forward, we can continue to capture all of that additional revenue.
Questions? No questions? I need a motion. I'll do it. I move the Board of Education adopt the 2025 tax levy as presented and authorize the administration to file a requested tax levy with the Lake County Clerk in accordance with the applicable state statutes.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Still don't think.
Yeah. All right. So we have the second reading for board policy monitoring. There are no changes recommended to any of the policies presented. Are there any questions on the policies? Not, then
Need a motion?
yes.
I'll make it. I move that the Board of Education approve any recommended changes to board policies under review and to adopt those policies as presented by the administration.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 All righty. Well, you had quite a bit of reading this past month. And yes, so this is the October 2025 Press Plus issue, 121st reading. As you can see, there are a lot of legal references and responses to new legislation based on all the policies presented. I mean, is there any policy that stands out to the board that we need to discuss? Because if not, I mean, really the changes that are being presented, for example, in policy 6:60, there's a lot of curriculum content that is being either encouraged or adjusted based on new legislation. So they're back and forth on the health requirements, they're back and forth on the requirements for supporting sign language, interpretation, like things of that nature that really we're keeping abreast of, as these come up, but there's no really action necessary that's controversial or goes against anything that we're doing as a district already. So if there are any other policies that anyone is really interested in discussing right now, if not, then you have another month to read through, and then approval will not be until December for these policies. Any questions? No? Okay. All right. Moving on. We have the first reading, and you only had 2 of those.
That was
So that's
very
a
nice
regular.
of you.
That's the regular monitoring. Okay, so you had about 20 of the other and 2 of those. So no action necessary, no changes recommended to those policies. Again, we do not need to take action on that right now. It will be next month.
On the first reading of the board policies, issue 120 from Press Plus, I went through a lot of them, and I would highly encourage, if you get a chance, to go through it, because it is a lot of stuff that we as a board are part of, and so if you get a chance, you don't need it all doing in one session, but if you can take a look, I did it, I peripheral one right away, and there's stuff that we should see at least, and be familiar with.
Great. All right, anything else? So really nothing for consent agenda. And then public comment, is that?
Looks like
ready?
we're pretty empty.
I'd just like to make an announcement about Pete. We'll be speaking at the One Nation Under God Prayer Breakfast for the Gurney Exchange Club on November 25th. And the topic will be how the district has included vets in their schools buildings on Veterans Day. And also about how they raise money for the Freedom Flight program. So if anyone wants to come, it's at 7:30 a.m. at the Village Church in Gurnee. And we're very honored to have Pete not only help us out with the Exchange Club, but to send the good news about our district.
And what you've done, Pete, is obviously when we first did this, we were taking away a day off of school, and certainly have done what we said we would do and make it very meaningful for our community.
They do all the work.
Thank
I try
you.
to help them do all the work. They do the most of it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I move the Board of Education adjourn in open session, reconvene in closed session to discuss pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C1 personnel, 9 student discipline, 10 student information, 11 potential litigation, and 21 discussion of minutes.
Second.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 All right.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Motion for the consent agenda. I don't think you guys
There was.
There are no consent agenda.
First time I can remember.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
There's
I was
no
actually
consent
caught off
agenda.
guard.
There's nothing on the consent agenda. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
motion first before we go.
Yes.
We need to do the motion.
Before we.
I move the Board of Education adjourn closed session, reconvene in open session.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 All right.
All right, so we have personnel motion on personnel. Anybody want to do
I'll
it?
make it. I move that the Board of Education approve the personnel recommendations as presented by the superintendent.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Closed session minutes for the October 22nd meeting.
I move that the Board of Education approve the closed session minutes for October 22nd, 2025 as presented.
Second. Roll call.
Aye.
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 And motion for adjournment.
I move the Board of Education adjourn the November 19th meeting of the Board of Education.
Second. Roll call.
Aye.
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 All right. Everybody have a
good
great
night. Thank you so
Thanksgiving.
much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, yeah, I'll give it to
Thank
you.
you, you too.
Thank you, Jermaine. All right, see ya.
Bye.
Oh, you're welcome, Mandy. Thanks for volunteering.